Hello and welcome back. My name is Madeline and I talk about different things every Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about everything I read to earn my bachelor's degree in creative writing. I made a similar video last week if you want to go check that out, where I talk about the books that I read to get my bachelor's in English. These videos are both inspired by Jack Edwards' video where he talks about what he read in school to get his degree. When you decide to get a degree in creative writing, it means reading a lot of poetry. So we're going to start with that. The first one we're going to talk about is called Magnolia. This is by far the best poetry collection that I read in my undergrad. It's by A. Van Jordan. It's phenomenal. If you like poetry, read this one, trust me. Next one I read is What Work Is by Philip Levine. Domestic Violence by Evan Boland. What's kind of interesting about this one is when I read this, every single poem went right over my head. But now that I'm in a graduate degree, we read some more poems by her, and once you have more context, it totally makes sense. So if you don't understand the poems, do not give up. Here, Bullet. Whereas this poem collection is also phenomenal. I highly recommend reading it, and it's also just a cool size book. Life on Mars, The Dead and the Living, Riverbound. When you're in creative writing, you also read, obviously, a lot of novels. So now we're going to be talking about those. I do want to add, we did read the first Harry Potter in one of my creative writing classes, so add that to the list. We have Our Story Begins, Goodbye Columbus, The Sweet Hereafter. This one's really sad, but pretty good. The Farming of Bones. I don't even remember reading this, but I underlined a bunch of stuff, so obviously I did read it. I must have read it freshman year. I read something else recently by Edwidge Danticat, and it was phenomenal, so maybe I'll go back and read this book again. Old School. I took a class kind of like on the grammar and conventions. It wasn't required, but I did take it. And in that class we read this book. It's called Rhetorical Grammar, and it's really good just for grammar and writing. It will definitely improve your writing and help you if you want to be an editor, copywriter, that kind of thing. Finally, we're going to talk about a couple books that I read that teach you how to write, essentially. The first one's called Writing Poems. Really an interesting book. Gives you a lot of examples about metaphors, form, different ways to write. Really interesting. Now Write Nonfiction. Loved this one. It's about writing nonfiction essays. 100% loved that one. This one I still use to this day. This is called The Writer's Journey. It's phenomenal. It outlines different archetypes, it outlines different structures. It's just really good if you want to write a novel. I would definitely recommend reading it. My last NaNoWriMo that I did, this was my Bible. Benjamin Percy's Thrill Me Essays on Fiction. This was also really good, as you can probably tell from the cover. It doesn't feel academic at all. It feels just really fun, and it gives really good advice on writing. And lastly, we have The Making of a Poem. This talks about all different kinds of poems, when they should be used, how to write them. If you're thinking about being a creative writing major, I highly recommend. I literally use my creative writing skills every single day. If it's writing an email, thinking of something, coming up with creative solutions, it's just a great degree to have, and I highly recommend it. I don't think it gets encouraged enough, but I think it's a really, really valuable major, and it gives you really good transferable skills. So if you're thinking about it, do it. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to comment, subscribe, and share. It means a lot to me, and I will see you next week for another video. We read some Evan Boland. We read some Evan...